Hey y'all, coming to you from the international headquarters, ScottieDTV, but I was at the 2022 SEMA Show, and I came across a very cool 1963 Chevrolet Corvette I think y'all are going to like. Let me get the camera turned around and take a quick look at it. Eddie, thanks so much for giving me some time this morning, brother.
Yeah, no problem. Glad to be here.
Tell me about this C2 you had out at SEMA.
All right, so this is a pretty wild build. 4 years ago, we were presented by a customer that had never built a hot rod before, but was a big supercar guy. His father, growing up, had a C2 Corvette, so he always dreamed about a C2 Corvette, but he wanted to morph a supercar and a Corvette together, and so that's where this project started.
Tell me some of the things you did to it.
So working with the customer, we decided, okay, we got to come up with some inspiration. So what are we going to try to kind of work with? We're going to work with Ferrari, Lamborghini, Porsche, McLaren. So starting with that, C2 needed to be a little wider, need a little more meat to it, but we didn't want to take away from the beauty to it. So the major thing we did to the car is we actually widened the car a little over 3 inches, but we couldn't find anybody's wide body kit that flowed right, that gave the character of the C2 Corvette originally had. So we actually hand designed our own body, pulled molds on all 4 fenders and door skins, and then hand laid our own fiberglass panels to duplicate the factory materials on it. So the car's been widened 3 inches. While doing that, Corvette always had the idea of making a hood scoop and side scoops functioning, but they were just indentations. They weren't real. So we wanted to give that feel of a real one. So we actually leaned the radiator forward, hand designed a hood scoop that kind of resembled the old Ford GT40, made the side scoops on the front fenders functioning to relieve brake heat. So it's been pretty fun. The car had a lot of modification to it.
So just so people understand, did you start with a 63 body and then make it wide, or has this whole body been handmade by y'all?
This car actually did start as a 63 Corvette. When we first started the project, we weren't exactly sure which direction we were going to do, so we found the nicest, solidest body we could start with, so we weren't fixing damage, had a crooked body, anything like that. But then it morphed into this, we kind of nicknamed it Super Vette, or the XP-63, the experimental 63 Corvette the GM didn't make.
So from the top of the fenders down is all your work. From the center of the car pretty much stayed the same as what Chevrolet
So,
stayed.
yeah, pretty similar. So you go from the top of the fender to the other top of the fender on the 2 sides. The center of the car is the factory shape. We did flush mount the front and rear windows. The cowl is now a one-off cowl in there. The air vents weren't needed anymore because we were doing a vintage air system in it. Pulls air from a different location. So we one off the cowl. The hood, similar shape to factory, but the hood was 100% one-off. All 4 quarters, both door skins one-offed. The tail pan lower valance and the front lower valance all one-offed. And then we actually we designed front splitter, rear diffuser, and side pipe covers, and then had those all made out of carbon fiber after they were made, fit, molded, and everything to the car.
So everything that looks like carbon fiber is carbon fiber?
Yeah, it's actually all hand laid, real carbon fiber. There's nothing, no overlays, none of those parts. All the carbon parts are all real carbon parts.
Holy cow. And the thing is, you pulled it off. I wouldn't have guessed. And I grew up around Corvettes. I mean, I've been around them all my life. I would have never picked up that you did all that work to this car.
Awesome. That's our goal. As our shop, we always joke that the work we do, we don't want people to know we did it.
That's the trick. No, that's the trick. You're right, exactly. And
so
that's...
everyone walks up and, why is this one different? Why does this one look so cool? But they can't identify why.
Right. If you can't tell what I did, then I did it right. If you can tell, then we probably did it wrong.
I've been in business 19 years now, and I think my 3rd year in business, I had a judge pull me to the side at a World of Wheels thing one time, and he told me, everyone asks me why they don't win, and they go home and bolt something on. He goes, if they would just go home and take something off,
right.
they would be miles ahead. And so that's kind of how I flow. We don't want it to look like it's modified. Like this Corvette, we want it to look like it was a concept car GM made. It doesn't look like something we bolted a whole bunch of panels on.
No, it does not look like anything's been bolted to it, and it does look like a concept car. But outside of the color in the hood, those are the obvious. Outside of that, you think to yourself it's just a really cool, good stance C2 Corvette, until you find out that the whole car has been widened would you say 3 inches?
Yeah, a little over 3 inches. I think it was like 3.5 inches by the time we were setting down all the way around.
What about wheels?
Working with the customer, going back to the supercar influence, we'll jump to chassis. We started with Art Morrison chassis. Of course, great platform to start with. Can't ever complain. Did some modifications here and there to accept what we were looking for. Had Bilstein one-off-us coilovers. Wanted 15-inch Brembo carbon ceramic brakes. So by going to that large of a brake, we had to upgrade to some big wheels. So we actually worked with HRE, had them make a set of their wheels for us into our specs, and they're a 20 by 10 on the front. They're actually a 21 by 12 on the rear, believe it or not. And so generally, I don't go to that big of a wheel on a hot rod, but being that everything went supercar influenced on this, we kind of pulled off that 2021 look, I think. I don't think they don't scream super big. A few people have said they're a little too big, but I think we kind of pulled it off.
No, I think they fit perfectly, and I like how that rear wheel has that dish to it. It doesn't have a lip, but it has a dish to it. It's the same pattern as the front, but if you look at it close, it sits deeper than the front one does.
I'm glad you noticed that. We tried real hard to make sure we had some shape to that rear wheel.
Yeah, no, you nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. And it's one of those cars, Eddie, I think the more you look at it, the more you know about it, the more you love it.
Yeah, if you get some time to look at it, you're gonna really notice a lot of little tweaks here and there that just subtle changes, things that we kind of came up with and wanted to put our little flair into it.
What color is it?
So we were following, like I say, supercars. I can't remember exactly the car he showed me, but he had showed me a supercar that was a green like that. And so we actually worked with BASF's training center, and we went back and forth, and we won off a color that would kind of influence that European supercar feel, and then we shot BASF their Glaser at matte clear over the whole thing.
What about interior?
Interior is awesome. This is the first time I've got to work with Avant-Garde. That was an awesome project. They actually came to our shop while we were still building the car, and they 3D scanned the whole interior of the car so that they could get a one-up on the car before they got it. They started modeling it, working with the customer to design what they wanted, and that whole cockpit has been 3D printed and modeled and then wrapped with leathers and Alcantara. And so it's a complete one-off interior. Everything from the dash, the brows, the A-pillar covers, the window garnish moldings. It was pretty awesome.
No, I think you absolutely nailed it. Talking to you this morning, I'm walking away, and I'll be talking about this car for the next 2 weeks. All through Christmas, I'll be telling people, hey, you need to check out Eddie Rod Shop Corvette. Take a closer look at that thing. I mean, it's a cool car, but, I mean, that, man, they've done a ton of work to that thing.
There's not one part of the car that we feel we missed. I mean, coming even to the engine and drivetrain of the car, we wanted high horsepower, but we wanted super reliable. So started working with talking to different guys, ended up choosing to work with Steve Morris. Steve Morris is really known for building high horsepower cars, winning drag week where they got to drive 200 miles race. So that was an awesome project. Ended up being 985 horsepower on pump gas. Of course, had to have a transmission that could hold up to that. So worked with Mark Bowler, started the Tremec 6-speed. He blew it all apart, put custom gear ratios in it. We actually, mathematically, the car should do 213 miles an hour.
What engine is it?
The block started with the LS3, head started with LS7, but we bought crate block, crate heads, empty, and then he built all the internals to his specs.
Absolutely killed it, brother. Before I run this morning, anything else that I need to know, any other details you want to get out about the car?
The exhaust was fun. That was our first time. We actually had the headers done in Inconel. We made them out of steel first and had a NASCAR team duplicate them for us out of Inconel. And then we worked with titanium for the first time in this car, and then did all the rest of the exhaust from the headers back titanium. So there wasn't anything on this car that wasn't supercar. Bosch ABS, Davis traction control. We even put a hydraulic lift on the front since the front set's so low, so if you're hitting speed bumps or high driveways or any of that kind of stuff.
If people want to follow what you're doing, what's the best way to do that?
You can hit us on Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok at Eddie's Rod and Custom.
Awesome, brother. Again, thanks so much for giving me some time this morning.
Yeah, not a problem, man. I enjoy being with you anytime I have an opportunity. Thank you.
So there you go, from the 2022 SEMA Show and Eddie's Rod Shop, a very cool 1963 Corvette. What do you think just that exhaust cost? Hope you all enjoyed it. See ya! Hey y'all, make sure you subscribe to this channel and visit ScottieDTV.com for an easy way to search the hundreds of videos I have posted. Either click the link in the description or the one at the end of this video.